Well, on Monday, we had the opportunity to interview with Chris Peterson, the parenting professor, and he gave us insight on how parents can connect with their kids at any stage in life. Roll tape. All right, well, welcome, Chris. Just to start off, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of, what led you into joining this profession?
Yeah, so my path is a little unusual, as most paths, aren't right out of the textbook, but I did start in education, started teaching, and thankfully, oddly enough, my life was threatened by a student when I had a job out on the West Coast.
Wow.
And it really led me to having to be better with kids, especially when we talk about behaviors. And I remember going home one of those first early days, in tears, and thinking, I have to do something else. And I got into Love and Logic. Someone mentioned it to me, and Love and Logic's been around since 1977. Jim Fay and Dr. Foster Klein created it as a really neat thing that's not a system or a program, but it's based on a set of principles, and that really stuck with me. It's not like this lockstep approach thing in working with kids, because you're a dad, right?
Yep,
Kids don't break the rules by the book. They find little loopholes.
Right, exactly.
And Love and Logic was the thing for me to help work better with kids. And so when my own kids were born, I stepped out of the traditional classroom, and then this kind of just started taking off, and we've been reaching thousands of families since.
Can you tell me a little bit about exactly what Love and Logic is? Is it a program? Is it a classroom? Like, what is it, and how does it help parents?
Yeah, so it's a way of working with kids that really ups the odds that we raise responsible and respectful adults, really, because we're not raising kids, we're raising the next generation. And one of the core tenets is allowing kids to make mistakes when the cost is small, right? So the soundbite we have in class is, the road to wisdom is paved with countless mistakes when the costs are small, so that we can develop this cause and effect thinking, so that a kid can think, I wonder how this next decision is going to affect my life, versus, who's going to be mad at me if I mess up? And it's not a system, it's not a program, but again, like I said, it's based on a set of principles that helps limit the stress for the adults. And we get into how to never argue with kids and why it's important to have chores and contributions at home. So the full class is a 6-session course. And then I do a lot of workshops with professional development for teachers and educators and leaders around the world. I just got back from Milwaukee, so it was kind of fun.
How long does this session last?
So the full class is called Parenting the Love and Logic Way, and it's a 6-session course. Right now I have a group going where we meet on Sundays from 4 to 6 p.m. on virtually through Zoom, and that's been a big hit, especially in Wisconsin. In December, January, and February, it's nice to be able to kind of just reach into people's homes and make those connections. Probably not the same as a live face-to-face class, but the feedback has been tremendous. And then on Tuesdays right now I'm running a class called Adults Supporting Youth with Challenging Pasts, and that really is Love and Logic with a trauma lens. Okay. Working with kids with high ACE scores, and that one I call graduate level Love and Logic, and we really get into healing the brain through that course.
Okay.
Eric, you have a son,
Yes.
How important is that, relationship to have such a strong one between a parent and a child, and how does it impact a kid's life going forward?
Right.
You bring up that point of relationships, and that's a foundational. I didn't mean to step on your words.
You're fine.
That's the foundation of Love and Logic, is creating what I call non-manipulative, bulletproof relationships.
Is there any cost to take this class, or what's the details?
Well, it's interesting, and I always try to figure out that sweet spot for people. A lot of school districts in the last 2 years have been sponsoring it.
Okay.
Generally, it's $84 per screen, and then that includes everything. That includes the workbook, that includes access to me. I run a closed Facebook group for each session, so a lot of Q&A. It's all about creating the village. And I just had a mom last week. She called me, she's like, Chris, I feel like, if anything, beyond the skills and the strategies and the techniques, I feel like you're giving us permission to forget some of those, or not listen to some of those pressures we have in our culture and our society, and parent how we really know is best for kids. And that was kind of a heartwarming thing to hear. Because as a dad, you feel pressure sometimes to do, and it's whether it's real or perceived, it can change the way we work with kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Being a parent myself, and like you said, there's really no instruction manual to being a parent. It's just, here's your kid. Oh gosh, let's hope we don't make any mistakes.
I know, and I still do, and I teach the class anyway, and I kind of joke it's probably more for me and trying to raise my 2 now teens. And to your point, I was down in Westby area, and I had this kind of big, strong guy come up to me, and he's like, Chris, I wasn't sure about this class. And I said, oh yeah, Dan, tell me about that. And he's like, well, the saying, kids don't come with manuals. I said, yeah. He goes, but I feel like you gave us a really good roadmap to navigate those tough times. And I think he's taken the class 4 times now.
Wow.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess kind of like what makes you want to keep doing things like this, Does it ever get almost repetitive, constantly teaching the same thing, or are you also learning something new at the same time?
Yeah, always learning nuances, right? And it's just like whether it's a sport, we keep practicing. We don't just say, well, I'm good now, because like with parenting, like a skill, if you don't use it, you kind of lose it. So there is a selfish component to it, to be honest with you. I get one crack at being a dad when the kids are little and young and developing, and I want to do that. I will add that these techniques work on spouses too, and I imagine co-anchors, so I don't know if
I think I hear Derek over there.
Right. But and that's the point too, is we do have some fun. We do have a lot of fun and have some laughs. And I keep doing this because it needs to be, it's my belief that let me start that again. It's my belief that we're all based in prevention here, in raising that next generation of world-class citizens. And a lot of times we wait until there's a problem, right, and then try to fix it, and that's okay. But if we can come from a prevention-based perspective, I call it the bottled water effect. 30 years ago, I thought there's no way someone's going to buy bottled water. And now it's like, that's all you can find.
Yeah.
And I think that a solid parenting class like this, or I work with teachers too, can be like the next bottled water. If we can make it cool and accepted and realize that this isn't, preachy, we can have a good time doing it. And the other thing is parents start to realize, oh, I'm not the only one, right? And there's some forgiveness with that.
All right. Thanks so much for taking time to talk to us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
Dad, man, it's a hard job.
Yes, it is.
Good for you.
Yes,
all right. Well, thank you so much. And we'll have all of this information posted on our website, news8000.com, as well as any resources on how to sign up, as well as the website.
Yeah,
all right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Chris hosts classes throughout the year, and to apply for one, you can go to his Facebook page at The Parenting Professor.